Alright, so today is going to be another quick one. Basically, I'm going to show you the software that I use to manage my fleet, handle my updates, run extraneous scripts, see the status of my servers. In Ubuntu or the Debian environment, specifically Ubuntu because it's a canonical product, Landscape is the best solution. You can use Cockpit and you can use Ansible and you can use a few other things, but if you're just mostly handling updates, seeing the status of machines, wanting to deploy your own scripts, because, you know, let's face it, in the Linux environment, you can set up a script for backing up, you can set up a script for installing, you can set up a script for running updates, restarting. There's so many things you can just use a bash script for. It's really easy. Landscape also lets you run PowerShell scripts. So if you're using PowerShell or you're more familiar with that, you can also deploy those right out of Landscape. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch over now. And you can see Landscape is on the screen in front of you. So I've logged in. My account is simply called Haws. And what you've got right now is 3 registered computers. So out of those registered computers, I can see them here. I can see that I've got, for the free license of Landscape, 7 remaining as iron, but I have containers 50. So if I'm running Kubernetes or Docker or VMs, I could have an additional 50 devices in my network here. Now, what I do know some people have done is to get away from the licensing, because it's not the cheapest thing. Canonical does charge, and they're not expensive, but you know, it all adds up. If you've got large fleets, it adds up. So for some smaller mid-level setups where there's more than 10 physical machines and not a whole lot of containers running, what I have seen people do is have 2 or 3 instances of Landscape installed on separate servers. And it'll be Landscape 1, Landscape 2, Landscape 3. In fact, often they're just running in a VM on a single piece of iron because there's not a lot of overhead needed for them. And then they'll have a group in there. So say Landscape 1 is running all your servers. So you got 10 servers you could run in there, which gives you a fair amount of functionality. Landscape 2, you've got 10 laptops. Landscape 3, you've got 10 desktops. So you can see fairly small into mid-size environments, you can easily work around the licensing restrictions. Now, I am not suggesting that you do that. However, it is, if you're creative, you could find ways to make it work without paying. This is the self-hosted version. Now, what a lot of people are doing is simply, especially with larger companies where the money's not really that big of an issue, they are going with the server side hosted, and they're just registering all their devices, and they, you know, you've got 1,000 machines in or more depending on what you're doing with them. So anyway, from there I'll get into this a little bit and I'll show you what's happening with it. So right here, there's simple here, it just tells you how to register. I'm going to go to that link. Pretty simple to register a client once you've got Landscape up and running. Apt-get update, install Landscape-client, and then you run this down here, which runs through a pre-canned script that sets it all up and is ready to go. And basically you just put the name of your machine in here that you want, and it tags to the standalone account, and away you go. If you are running the registered version with a license key, that will actually be your account. So, and if you're on the web, the SaaS side of things, that would be your account as well. So whatever that would be. That being said, then it's going to wait for you for pending computers. So you go to pending computers, which it'll also show you up here an alert for, which you can also access to. So as you can see here, there's my alerts. I'll get into that in a second. But there are no pending computers because I haven't added another one. I only have these 3 in here, and I'm not going to take the time and effort to go through. That's a pretty simple process. I just wanted to show you that because it is really easy to register your clients. And very little overhead. There's a few back-end agents that work, but there's not a lot of overhead. So we'll start here. So this is the main account. There's the computers. Here's your alerts. This is who's logged in, my administrator account, and then of course logout. Pretty simple stuff. Up here, top counter, how many computers are registered. But I'm going to go into, with the account, you can go into the account settings. or the account name settings. Let me go into that. So down here is the registration key. So you could supply one. Then when you go through the register setup, you need to provide that in that information. There's a spot to put it in, and then it just double checks that. It's kind of like an SSH key, but it's not really. It's just a registration key. Settings, you can how you get it to the root URL of the machine. No big deal. That's set up, and then of course I've put a DNS entry into my Ubiquiti USG that reflects on this and gets me to it from any computer on the network. Ping URL, there's email address, all that. I haven't set that up yet in my email server in my Zental. I still need to finish setting that up, but then I will change that to a valid email address to send my alerts forward, because it's fully capable of sending alerts to whoever you need to. Administrator account, there's just me in it. Roles. So this is where you can set up different roles for people. You could put in for an administrator, which has all access. You could put in a role for somebody who can just view. You could put a role in for someone who can just run scripts. You could put in a role for someone who's just going to do updates or management or add computers. So depending on, you got to think about it. The scope of a large organization with tens of thousands of machines, you're going to have a person that's just adding clients, setting up clients, deploying those, and it'd be nice if when they deploy them, they could simply add them to landscape at the same time they're joining the domain with them. There's other times you're going to have somebody who just handles updates, and he's updating your entire fleet, so on and so forth. There's going to be a lot of different roles that larger organizations are going to need, but here just needs me. I'm the only one using it. Same at work. I'm the only one using it there. I use it to update my Moodle servers and my SQL servers, so pretty simple. There's your access groups again. Now this is for, sorry, not again, but your access groups are for how you want to handle sending out rules and codes and scripts and recipes basically down to your clients. So you've got this big global access group, which you can set up your all your events and activities in. Then I've separated out into 3 subgroups, because on my desktops group, I'm not necessarily going to run the same stuff that I want to run on my laptops group, which I'm not going to definitely run the same stuff that's going to run on my server groups. So on my servers group, I'll drill down into there. Now we've got the administrators set up here, but you could change how rules and things flow down to here. So that will be under profiles. So I can go into profile package. I can add profile packages, or I can unpack. I haven't got any done there. What have I got set up? I'm just trying to think. I don't have a whole lot of things set up on here. I don't have any scripts, but this is where you would add them. Activities. Yeah, okay, so here's where things are configured so far that I've got up. So install, hold, and remove packages on my 2 computers, and that status is complete. Upgrade all possible packages. That's also on 2 computers. That's my laptop and my desktop. That's complete. And I've also got it set to upgrade all possible packages for all 3 computers. And that one is not complete, because I was trying to set up a separate rule in there to turn off all packages and just make it security packages for my server. But you could drill in deeper and you could see, so the laptop here hasn't been turned on, so this hasn't been completed here, but it has been completed on my landscape server and on my all-in-one computer. So that is because this laptop has not been turned on, and since I set these rules up a few days ago. Licenses, searches, events. Let me go into there. So here's where you can see what's happened. So you can go back and track anything. So group activity succeeded. And you can drill into these a little deeper. Hold, install all packages, upgrade all possible packages. So it's basically your status. You're running status symbol of what time things have happened, so that if you've run into an issue or you want to pump out a report, you could do that. what I'm trying to get to. Oh, it's in my computers. Okay. So that's basically on the account stuff, overall activities. But on the computers, you could actually configure things that happen and monitor them. So there's my all-in-one machine, which is turned on right now. I can go over to my monitoring, and you could actually see that I've got these graphs loaded. So there's the overall workload of that machine, overall memory, swap disk usage, almost nothing. It's pretty much flatlined. Temperature, it gets warm when it's in use. It's in use right now. Network, there's how much network is. A little bit of YouTube usage there. Outbound network traffic. So, and you can add custom graphs. I honestly don't know how to do it. I have never played around with it. This is all I've really needed to. The main things are memory, CPU usage, and disk space. Wanting to know the use space and how full the drives get. That's very useful when you're dealing with large databases or large file repositories. So it's very convenient at a glance. Scripts. Oh, sorry. Let's go back here to hardware. So hardware, basically, whatever machine you have selected, it's going to tell you what those are. So, for instance, this is a Lenovo, my all-in-one computer. 1.7 gig CPU, just an i3 in there, 8 gigs of RAM, there's its IP address, so on and so forth. Gives you an idea of all the gear in it. And then just to show you how it's different, if I go over here to my laptop, drill into my laptop, you can see there, it's a Yoga 3, it's running Linux Mint 19.3 Trisha Todd. It's also 1.7 with 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gig SSD in it. So, you got a lot of information available to you here, and you can add notes and comments, whatever you'd like to it. So, and it also will show you the activities and process over here, so you can see where a machine's at, and the last time when the rule was created. And so we'll go over here to scripts. Bin bash script, pretty simple. Create a title, tell it what you want to do. So, I can set up a cron job, whatever, do a copy over there, do a mod directory, create, copy, and whatever you want to do. There's all sorts of things you could do there. Processes. So this is the running processes. So here's where it gets really neat, because if you come over here to monitoring on this machine, let's go up to desktop again, because it's actually turned on. Go into my monitoring. So go down here, load average, memory average. So say I want to find out right here, like that looks like pretty high memory usage. It's not really, it's only like 38%. But basically, if I want to find out what's going on here, I drill in, I can see that at 27:02, they're 0000 hours. Let's go here, 23:35. Sure, 23:55. That's a good time. So at 23:55, I want to see what's going on with this machine. So I come over here to processes, and I look down the clock at 23:55. See if I can find it here, or I'm just doing this off the cusp. 1500, 0000. Well, there was one at 0000, so I can look at that 00. Where are we here? Zero zero 47, 0047, 00. Yeah, I'm not seeing it off the top of my head, but I'm also concentrating on doing a video. So that was probably here. The machine was sleeping, and it's got something in use there. So this was probably at some process IRQ balance 515. It was probably right around then. 0047, 00 yesterday, 0001. So right there, so that could have been it too. So K worker, hard to know. No, that's today. That was. Anyway, you get the idea. You can zoom right in, and with a little bit of detective work, pretty much at a glance, you can see what process is using up your resources. So I've actually used that before, and with very little detective work, you can actually tell what's going on. So not a real big deal, but you can also see the CPU usage right out of the gate. So that might be an easier way to determine if you've got a CPU spikeage. It doesn't have the memory on here, so that would have been better. But see right down here, I can see 1.9%, 4.6%. So yeah. Anyway, that's in a nutshell while I'm making a video giving you a brief overview of it. So the next would be the packages. Now this is where you can configure what to install, you can see what has been installed, and you can configure them. So you can go in here, rsync vulnerabilities. So that's a security update, and it has security updates to install. They're right here. One security upgrade, safe web browser from Mozilla, Firefox, DNS file copy tool. So what I can do is I can actually tell it to mark it, upgrade on this package, but not to upgrade it on this package. Remove that package so I don't install it. So there's certain things you can flag however you want and set them to go in. So for instance, I could flag this as none. Let's go minimize. Let's say I don't want to do my, let's say I don't want to do the point-to-point protocol. We'll minimize that. So now, there, see it's turned off. It will not install that security update when I run my updates. However, I do want to, so I'm just going to add it back again. So anyway, and then I'm going to hit apply changes. And then it's going to await delivery, and it's going to run through that. So it's queued up. All I have to do is hit select, and then I can approve those changes to that machine. And there you go. It's in a state that cannot be approved. It's because the machine is sleeping right now. It's turned on, but it's sleeping. So it'll as soon as it wakes up, it'll apply those updates. So that's pretty much it. I know it was a little bit of a convoluted. I'm not in here every day. I use it when I need it as a tool. I use it mostly to see the status of my machines, track down memory or CPU hog events, check on the status of my drives to see if any of them are getting. I have an alert set up so that if any of the drives are getting full, they will tell me. And you set those up over here in alerts. Like there's all sorts of alerts here, but alerted all computers, needs to be rebooted, alerted when a duplicate computer exists, but there aren't any, so it's okay. There's no duplicates. So, and these can also be configured, as I said earlier, to email to me. So the system will actually email me when an alert happens. For right now, I just have it alerting me up here, so I can see the different updates are available, right? So anyway, that's pretty much the short and narrow of it. But the real power is in the scripting, because in the scripts, you can do pretty much whatever you want. And you can also run the updates and stuff for all your machines. So you can select to do any group of machines. So like I could select one laptop, or I could go to all. I go to my main access group, select all. Let me go back to here again. Sorry, all. So now it's going to run on all of those. So anyway, it's it's a pretty powerful system. I know my description here isn't the greatest. There's probably somebody on YouTube out there giving better descriptions, although I haven't seen a lot of content for landscape on YouTube. There's a bit more out there for cockpit, which is kind of where I started. But then when I discovered that there wasn't nearly the support for cockpit on Debian-based or Ubuntu-based machines that there is in the RHEL universe, the Red Hat CentOS, that's where cockpit really shines. It's been designed and built for that from the ground up. The Red Hat guys designed it. It really shines, and it's really good at installing software and packages. It's just a really good solution. Again, very low overhead. More or less same. Landscape is Ubuntu's version. Cockpit is Red Hat's version. So anyway, that's it. I'm going to pretty much leave you here, and I know it's pretty chop video. There's not a lot of super useful. It's just an overview, and even at that, it was a little scattered because I was jumping around. I wasn't scripted, so. Yeah, anyway, I hope you got a little something out of it, and definitely try landscape out yourself if you're running an Ubuntu environment with, more than one or two computers in it, it is very useful for deploying and managing your updates and the status of your systems at the very least. So thank you, and see you next time.